I have not heard a Jewish professor or any other professor give me a clear definition of a Semitic. If you can't tell me what is a Semitic, you can't tell me what is an anti-Semitic. Now, as the population calling themselves Hebrews flourished in North Africa and in Western Asia, and this continued, and the population in Africa flourished until they were pushed back to North Africa, until the 12th century in Europe. Most of these Europeans were Christians and other European denominations. There was a fierce fight between the Arabs and the Christians. One group who did not want to belong to either one sought an option, and the option was the Hebrew faith. So what you are calling Jews are Europeans of the Hebrew faith. Many times they lived in communities of their choice. They did certain kinds of work that other Europeans did not want to do, and became so good at it, they dominated it. Portable wealth, gold, jewelry. And because they sold small things called jewelry, out of which came the word Jew. A European word that has nothing to do with their origin in Western Asia or Northern Africa, when they were just Western Asian people of the Hebrew faith. You find large numbers of people of the Hebrew faith in India. You find some in China, some in the South Sea Islands. But the European tries to dominate everything he is a part of. And nothing came from the European mind that did not have as its intention the facilitation of the European domination of the world. It has. This is the essential mission of every European, whether he is a capitalist, or communist, or Christian, or holy roller. This is the essential mission of Europeans, to dominate everything inside. And their crisis now is they are realizing that between the Africans and the Asians and the people of the South Sea Islands that keep on having an increase in birth rate, and they keep on going to bed and not bringing it all, very soon they're not only going to be a minority, but a tiny minority. They cannot say that Africans or Asia has as their intention the conquest of Europe, because neither one of them wants a thawed out icebox that is agriculturally dying, that is politically dead. So the greatest punishment we can inflict on them is to leave them in their misery. why they are trying to hook into so many things that are ours is that is their lease on life. Now, because of difference of opinion on religion and finance, the people in Europe of the Hebrew faith in their various branches became good at certain bargaining things, money lending, fabric design and fabric manufacturers, theater management, department store management. And in Germany, where they had department stores, they had the fabrics, they had communication. Then they would literally ask, yield something. Then when they did not yield, a madman said, I'll take everything. Yeah. Now, I have no problem condemning Adolf Hitler's murder, whether it was 6 or 6 million. It was wrong. But this was a European problem started in Europe by Europeans. I am sick of these Europeans washing everybody's face with this and not confronting this as a European problem. Go to Europe and get it settled. Those are the ones who started it. Now, in the 1880s, a lot of people of the Hebrew faith had the illusion that they were just like other Europeans, that they were integrated. And once they got their behinds kicked and were excluded out of things, they began to have the idea that they needed a state of their own. They didn't exactly know where the state would be, but they drew the idea of a state from mythology, because they never had a state that wasn't stolen property. Their homeland of the European Jew is Europe. Now they can go back into folklore and mythology and tell you about a God named Yahweh who told them to get thee to Palestine and get their homeland. But who told you that God was ever in the real estate business? All right. And who told the God that Palestine was unoccupied? Always occupying something that's already occupied and throwing out somebody else. Now, the Rothschilds controlled the purse of Napoleon. He offered them Palestine and they scoffed at it. So who want that sea of sand? They didn't want it then. They were doing all right in Europe, in the banking industry, in the theater industry. When things began to pinch them, they began to reconsider. But they considered Brazil once. Any space big enough to be called a homeland. We should read Cam Weissman's autobiography, Trial and Error, and his approach to Chamberlain and his approach to the British